make sure your job has a union. The two go hand in hand. Attorneys in New York have a union. White-collar workers in Detroit have a union. Engineers in Seattle have a union. Rocket scientists, nurses, doctors, social workers, and yes, flight attendants have a union. You need a union, no matter what work you do. If the job you take doesn't have a union, organize it. If it has a union, join it. If the union you join isn't living up to the ideals you believe in, lead it. Solidarity is a force stronger than gravity. It lifts us up. We've seen examples of this all over the country, from Red for Ed teacher strikes promoting good for the public, to hotel and grocery workers fighting for one job to be enough, or Amazon, Google, Uber, and Lyft workers fighting for respect, decency, human rights, and the ability to organize their union. And don't think unions just negotiate contracts. When the administration failed to send help to Puerto Rico after Hurricane Maria, my union helped organize a relief flight that brought over 300 union nurses, skilled union trades workers, and other much-needed help to the people of Puerto Rico. When ICE and Border Patrol were separating migrant children from their families, my union stepped up and pressured the airlines to refuse transportation for that evil policy. When nearly 1 million government workers were thrown out of work or forced to work for free during the government shutdown, we stood up and helped end the shutdown by threatening a general strike. I invite you, no, I implore you to join the fight. What we can achieve through our unions is limited only by our imagination. So imagine, for instance, if the social norm were people rising up in a general strike if lawmakers didn't secure health care as a right, equal pay, affordable housing, fully funded public schools, student debt cancellation, voting rights, democracy free of corporate money, abolishment of private prisons, a sustainable environment, and jobs that provide bread and roses too. Imagine that. Wouldn't we be stronger if we saw fear of someone else as a tactic by the powerful to divide the working class? Wouldn't we be better if people different from ourselves raised our curiosity and we asked them to tell their stories? Imagine that. This happens on Union Picket Line. Many speakers remind graduates to vote, and you must vote. But voting is not enough. Between elections, unions organize. We engage workers on the issues we care about, and by organizing around those issues, we build power. Is change politically possible? That question will never lead to making change. Corporations and governments will never do things out of the goodness of their hearts. They must be moved, and unions give us the structure, the legal standing, and most of all, the power to move them. People think power is a limited resource, but using power builds power. Once workers get a taste of our power, we will not settle for a bad deal, and we won't stand by while someone else gets screwed either. And here we are, with this White House, recognizing that the last thing we can do is take the rights we've gained for granted. Mother Jones told us we will fight and win, fight and lose, but above all, we must fight. Our rights are never absolute. They exist because generations of workers died to give us these rights. They were shot down at Homestead, Pennsylvania, and in the hills of West Virginia. They were hanged for the Haymarket Affair in Chicago and beaten on an overpass near Detroit, all for taking a stand for the rights of working people. Dr. King gave his life on a Union picket line. There were beatings at Stonewall and murders in San Francisco City Hall. These activists thought it was important enough to stand up against all odds and put everything on the line to make it better for their families and for our families. And today, it's our turn. People are ready to fight. We as a people are not automatically on the right side. We have to choose to be, and we have to live that choice. When unions were at our strongest, America made headway against inequality of all kinds, social, racial, economic, educational, you name it. But as a decades-long war against unions took its toll, the last 40 years have seen the gaps growing again. But this moment is a stark reminder that an injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And that's why unions are more important in this moment than ever before. Some of the earliest wins in the LGBTQ movement happened not in a courtroom or legislature, but at a union bargaining table. Years before marriage equality, our union, the Association of Flight Attendants, negotiated for and won domestic partner benefits for every United flight attendant, then testified in San Francisco to help win the first city ordinance for these fights and these rights. In fact, before any municipality passed anti-discrimination ordinances, unions representing all types of workers won anti-discrimination in contracts. Because on the job site, people realized that if management could fire a colleague for who they loved, he sure as hell could fire you for what you believed, or where you spent your Saturday night, or in the case of flight attendants, just for getting married or having a baby, or gaining 10 pounds. Solidarity means no one gets left behind. It means fighting like hell for the rights of a person we don't even know. I learned the hard way at the bargaining table with some of the world's most powerful corporations, stacked with even the power of the bankruptcy court, that the solidarity and courage of working people is the greatest force for good in human history. Join a union, start a union, lead a union, tell everyone around you, I've got your back.